This is a complex story. It's a funny story, but it's also a horrible story. And it's a story that's going to challenge you as a viewer. You're not going to know what to think. You're going to be in two minds, okay? We'd just moved into our first house in Calgary. And it was in a downtown neighbourhood called... no, I'm not gonna tell you the name of the neighbourhood. Because I need to keep one individual in the story anonymous. For reasons that will become obvious, okay? Suffice to say, this was a pretty well-to-do neighbourhood in Calgary, right? I wanted to create a good impression. I'd been here for a year already, right? In an apartment downtown on my own before my wife and kids joined me from Toronto. And I need to create a good impression because having been here a year, I'm the Scottish guy on the radio, right? I'm the guy that came to Calgary a year earlier when the Jack FM morning show was in the toilet at number 11 in the ratings, and I've managed to get it up to number 2 in the space of just a year. So this is now a big radio show, right? I'm the only guy with my voice in the city, and it's weird because in Calgary I could walk around completely unnoticed, but the minute I spoke in a shop, oh, that's that Scottish guy on the radio. So I have to be a pillar of the community, right? I have to behave, okay? Keep that in mind. So one day my wife Phoebe looks out the window and sees the stray dog walking around our front yard. That's what we call them here, front yard and backyard, right? You call them gardens in the UK, we call them yards. I don't know why they call them yards in Canada. I think it's probably because they want to make them sound bigger, right? You know, a garden sounds like it has flowers. A yard sounds like it has trees. Ricksim2K has just said, the chat froze. Everything okay? You can still hear me there? Can everyone hear me? Because I know it's been a day of Twitch problems. All fine. Okay. Okay, it's all good. All right, good. All right. You're right, how many fingers? Yards are so big in Canada, you can have gardens inside your yard. That's how big they are. You know, a garden sounds like it has flowers. A yard has trees, okay? So, because there's just much more land over here and it's much cheaper. So anyway, my wife looks outside, sees this stray dog in our front yard, and it's in pretty bad shape, right? It's scrawny and dirty and thin and really sad looking. So my wife decides to do the decent thing and she takes the dog in, right? She puts the dog in the backyard. That's what we call the back garden over here, yeah. Takes the stray dog into the backyard, excuse me, gives it some water, gives it TLC, and calls animal welfare. So animal welfare comes on, right? That's the state-run animal helpline. Animal welfare come along and they're like, oh geez, yeah, you made the right call here. Yeah, that dog is in a bad way. Yeah, that dog's in a bad state. That dog is well manky. I don't know why animal welfare in Calgary were using Scottish phrases like manky. They just are in this story. Oh man, that dog's pure manky, by the way. Oh man, that's the mankiest dog ever. So, and they say, right, listen, okay, the dog's in a bad way. And it's obviously been stray and homeless for a considerable time. Good for you, you saw the dog and rescued it. My youngest daughter, Sharky, said, Mummy, can we keep the dog? And the guy from Animal Welfare is saying, no, you really can't. It's too unhealthy. It really is. It's too unhealthy to do that. The dog's better off with us. So Animal Welfare take the dog away. About 2 hours later, right, there's a knock on the door. And my wife answers it. Hi, I'm your neighbour from across the street. We haven't met yet. Oh, nice to meet you, says my wife. Yeah, welcome to the street, says the neighbour. I believe you found my dog earlier today. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. I believe you found my dog earlier today. And my wife is mortified. The dog, the manky dog, the dog that was so scrawny and dirty and thin was the neighbour's dog. The neighbour in the brand new neighbourhood we just moved into that I really want to set a good impression. It's the neighbour's dog. My wife says, your dog? The neighbour says, yeah, he jumped over the garden fence. Someone said they saw you take him in. Oh, thank you so much. I'll just take him home now. And my wife had to say to the neighbour, I'm really sorry. I thought it was a stray, and I called animal services and they took the dog away. And the neighbour's not happy. She literally just turns on her heel and walks off. That's what Canadians do, because a lot of them are passive aggressive. In Scotland, they'd lamp you. Canada's just like, say nothing, passive aggressive. So an hour later, the neighbour at the door again. Animal Services, she's been in touch with them. Animal Services are not going to give the dog back to her because they think it's been so badly looked after. They're thinking of charging her with animal neglect, and she thinks she may now lose her job because, again, I'm not going to tell you what her job was, that's not fair, but it was a job where if you were accused of animal neglect, you could lose your job. So my wife apologises profusely and says, listen, I'm sure they'll get it sorted out. I'm really, really sorry. But they didn't. They ended up putting the dog down because it was in such bad shape. So in essence, the Scottish guy from the big radio show in the city, most famous Scottish voice in Calgary, been living in the new neighbourhood for less than a week, and his wife's effectively killed a neighbour's dog. Grassed up a neighbour, got the dog taken away, got the dog killed. Luckily, we were just renting the house and we didn't stay there for long. But let this be a warning to you. If you ever wake up one morning to find out we are your neighbours, make damn sure your dog never gets out the garden because my wife will kill it. And that's the Canadian story. But you're right, Kenny Boy 66. That's what's complex about this story. Is on the one hand, it's funny in a social embarrassment way, but it's a horrible story. It's a horrible story of animal neglect. And my wife did the right thing. Weasel Beast, I will come on with a wibbly wobbly wonder if you're ever my neighbour. You're right, Jimmy Smith. The dog was being neglected. Well done, my wife. Well done, Phoebe. And that was today's story. A Canada story for Canada Day. I've had a career of 28 years, had my ups and downs. Met some people who were awesome, met some who were total clowns. Whether it's Scotland or Canada, whether radio or TV. I've had a billion random things happen that make a good story. I'll tell you a story, a random story. I'm Dominic Diamond and I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story, a random story. I'm Dominic Diamond and I'll tell you a tale.